So thanks so much for the invitation to talk to you today. I am going to just speak through some prepared remarks, and then I think I have about 15 minutes for questions. So just want to present one model of our engagement and some of the results that we've had, and then we can talk about how it might apply to your work environment. So as the CEO of the BC Aboriginal Mine Training Association, I have had the distinct privilege of working with a very interesting and diverse group of companies, First Nations, governments, and educators around the province of BC. We've also had visitors from South America, from Alaska, from the East Coast, from Ontario and Quebec. The model that we've created has become quite a focal point in the exploration and mining sector because it's a very difficult environment to work in. So together, we've discovered and implemented solutions to long-standing issues that have stood in the way of meaningful engagement. So what does that mean? It means that together with our partners, BC AMTA has accomplished what many before us were unable to accomplish because of history, education levels, cultural differences, miscommunications, posturing, negotiations, and many other things that we don't necessarily need to talk about today. But the result is that there's been a persistent lack of trust between corporate Canada and the Aboriginal people of our country. So this is made for a difficult scenario. And when BC AMTA was formed in late 2009, impact benefit agreements were relatively few. And where working relationships did exist, there was little to talk about regarding progress, results, and realized benefits. What was needed is what BC AMTA could provide. Our founding partners, including New Gold, Teck Resources, the Tecumloops and Skeeches and Indian Bands, and several others, they had a vision. They wanted to do something differently, something that finally would address the lack of progressive relationships in exploration and mining. So rather than perpetuate the divide between industry and First Nations, BC AMTA would act as a neutral entity focused on creating the results that all parties were looking for. So we've been in existence for about 3 years, and we've learned a lot along the way, and I'd like to provide you with a high-level description of what we've created. So firstly, we've created a team of passionate, candidate-driven staff that ensure the goals of the IBA and broader inclusion targets can be reached. Second, we've built a process-oriented structure that ensures consistency and excellence while allowing for flexibility for individuals going through the process. Third, we've brought together a pre-qualified network of educators and contractors that deliver training programs in an appropriate learning environment for our Aboriginal students of all levels. Also, we've secured a formal relationship with governments and industry, which provide financial and in-kind supports to the partnership. So I could go on and on. It's been a very busy few years, but what you probably want to know is the outcomes. So what have we actually accomplished? We've registered over 1,500 Aboriginal candidates from more than 150 Indian bands, and 120 of those are based in BC. We've recruited, placed, and trained over 500 candidates into sustainable employment. This is really important because in the exploration and mining sectors, the training is very, very specific, very much safety-oriented. You can't place a person in a job at a mine site if they don't have the proper preparation to be there and work safely. So 36% of our candidates are female, and this is about 20% higher than the industry average. So in BC, it's just over 15% in the exploration and mining sectors, and the retention rate is dismal for females. So the females that we have placed in employment are part of this retention rate, which for us is 92%. And I think that blows away traditional norms. We've also generated an astounding impact on the economy of our First Nation communities. It's estimated that our placed candidates now earn over $26 million annually in wages. And when you add a conservative amount for benefits, we estimate this annual value to be over $30 million. Soon we anticipate having the results of an impact assessment done by PricewaterhouseCoopers that will tell an even fuller picture of the overall economic value our program has had on the province and on the country's GDP. More than anything, through our experience, we've learned that there's one common element through everything we do, and of course that's people. Sounds simple, right? Well, people are complex. We know that it takes people to run an efficient and safe business. It takes people to lead and influence a community through its important decisions. And on both sides, it takes an understanding and awareness about people and the things that they care about to take the right steps and initiate the right conversations. And most importantly, it takes people to build partnerships that allow for revealing conversations, overcoming challenges, and ultimately sharing success. Both corporate staff and First Nation memberships will look to their leaders for guidance on doing the right thing, acting with integrity and making genuine and mutually beneficial relationships. In other words, it takes people to build trust and move forward into a healthy new economy. So knowing this basic starting place is a key success factor for BC AMTA. Our coaches and managers are always concerned first with creating a comfortable and inclusive environment for the candidates that join us. They're also focused on learning about the needs of the hiring managers at the companies we work with and on building healthy connections between the chiefs of the bands and the chiefs of the companies. I would offer that in every case, understanding the motivations, the uncertainties, the assumptions, and the culture of both the community and the business changes everything. I'm going to say that again. Understanding the motivations, the uncertainties, the assumptions, and the culture of both the community and the business changes everything. If I could narrow down the description of the BC AMTA service to just one thing, it would be that our team is able to provide the neutral, objective means of getting to that understanding. We start with the end goal in our sights. Not only do we see good paying jobs for our candidates, but we have a crystal clear vision of empowering First Nations to create economic health for themselves and for their communities. So within that vision, we work with our educational and corporate partners to create relevant programs that suit both the work environment and our Aboriginal learners to make sure they get the confidence, the skills training, the education, career opportunities that are available close to home. So I promised today that I'd share my approach to creating economic health through partnerships. And for the most part, that really just comes down to seeing possibilities rather than barriers. But it's important to note that we are people too. So our staff need constant reminders and motivation to work through challenges. In fact, we regularly seek out the wisdom of others to keep us focused. We consult with each other, we tweak our processes, we get advice from other organizations and take train-the-trainer programs, we read books, we get motivation from quotes. And on that note, I'd like to share just a few words of wisdom and guidance from a book called The Leader's Way by the great Dalai Lama. Highly recommend this, no matter what level you are in your corporation, to read this book. When you become a leader, your power to influence and your ability to get things done grow very substantially. With that boost in power comes an increase in your responsibility to make the right decisions. Making the right decisions in an interconnected world is becoming more challenging all the time. When you're able to keep a calm, collected, and concentrated mind, even under pressure, you'll be better able to reach the right conclusions and consider the consequences from many perspectives, short-term and long-term, from the perspectives of employees, customers, shareholders, and society at large. Businesses should work constructively with governments to achieve a responsible, free market economy and reject an economic system without moral values. Again, that was written by the great Dalai Lama. So at BC AMTA, this is something that we truly believe in. We're passionately committed to changing the status quo, to supporting and lifting up our partners so that they can make that responsible economy possible. My friend and colleague, former National Chief Phil Fontaine, said recently that Canada's Aboriginal people should no longer be afraid of engaging with the corporate world. And he encourages us to have confidence in ourselves to transform our communities to reap the benefits of our knowledge and our natural resources. And of course, there's more. As a result of working closely with First Nations around the province and seeing literally hundreds of contract opportunities come available, BC AMTA launched a subsidiary company called First Resources Impact Ventures. So the aim of this social enterprise is to ensure that Aboriginal communities are able to capitalize on the contract and business opportunities that come of all sorts of natural resources projects in and around mining, energy, forestry, etc. Again, our focus is on bringing skilled partners together and forming joint ventures that will include intense on-the-job training and mentoring, and will offer leadership development and project management expertise as the businesses get off the ground. So the intention is also to divest over time our interest in the businesses to the sole ownership by the First Nation, thereby shifting the power in a big way. We currently have 5 business ventures in our pipeline, 2 that are in the capital raising stage. One I hope BC Hydro's interested in. So we're launching a power line company and a construction management services company. And we look forward to telling you more about our adventures there next year. So the bottom line is, at BC AMTA and First Resources, we work every day to make sustainable connections and partnerships, find solutions that lead to the creation of confident and successful employees and leaders, that in turn leads to the results and measurable impacts that for the communities that we work with. So I'm happy to tell you more about our specific approach and more about our exciting projects. So feel free to ask me questions.